Hi there, lovely Unstuck lady. Okay, so we are talking about when we're starting a new Unstuck journal and facing that blank page, because we all get intimidated when we start a new book and you've got that blank page in the beginning of the book. It just stares you down. You've all got all these creative thoughts, but we just don't get going. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a tree. Because a tree for me is very symbolic of different seasons that we go through. Sometimes in the winter, when we're growing on the inside of us, we don't see the growth, it's in our roots. Other times with a tree, you see the blossoms coming out, you see the fruit coming out, you can see the fruit and, the growth that has taken place. But there are different seasons that we go through, different things we work through, different challenges, different things we have to face, and working those positive things in with it. So what we're going to do is making our tree to inspire us to keep growing, because very often when you start something new, it can feel like, that fight or flight thing wants to kick in because it feels unsafe. I'm unsure about what I'm doing. But we are going to make a tree. I'm going to show you the first example, and we're going to put the words there. It is safe for me to grow. Because if we tell ourselves it's safe for me to grow, it's safe for me just to learn, it's okay to do this, then we're going to keep doing it. So the first way is just to have the bark. It can just even be a rectangle if you want. It doesn't have to be very complicated. And I just made some circles for the leaves. Now mine is funny colors, but it doesn't have to be the brown and the green or autumn colors. It can be however you want it. So that's the first way, is just sticking it down into your book and saying it is safe for me to grow. The second way we're going to look at, if you want to be more bit more arty with it, you can paint it. I'm going to just use some very simplistic, just watercolors and a brush and water. Okay, so let's get going with this. Now remember, with watercolor, if there's light parts you want to use or leave in, with watercolor we always work the opposite way around. We work from light to dark. With acrylics and things we work from dark to light. But let's get going. Let's just use some very, very basic ways to do this today. Just going to have some brown. I'm going to add my bark. Things that are closer to the front are bigger, things that are further away are smaller. Okay, so what you can do is, even if you wanted to just curve it a little bit to give the feeling of that it is round, you could have very thin strokes going in the background for trees that are further away. If they're closer to the front, they'll be thicker. Add some detail in there. So you can really play around with this. Thicker strokes and thinner strokes of trees in maybe your forest. If you just wanted to have one tree, you can just have one tree. It really doesn't matter. It's going to be up to your creativity. And we're just going to add some leaves. We're going to do it in a very simplistic way of just making little dots. Let's see if we can see this. And they can go down into the first parts of where the trees start. And they can be bigger and smaller, different sizes. They can be different colors of green. If you wanted to do more spring colors with a little bit of pink flowers in between, or autumn colors with reds and yellows and oranges, you can do that for your tree. Doesn't matter which season of your life you are in. There is still growth if we keep working at ourselves, at our mindset, in our lives, being faithful to do it. You can decide how full it needs to be, if it's very full, if it's not so full. Okay, so that is the leaves. And then at the bottom, we're going to do the same method. We're just going to add some flowers. They can be pinks or they can be yellows more. They can be a mix of colors. Doesn't matter. And they can also go up a little way in between the bark over here. If you wanted, you could even add maybe a little bit of blues or purples to add a bit of a darker tone in between. And here and there, if you wanted to, when it's dry, you could use a Coke or crayon just to add a little bit more detail if you felt it was necessary that you wanted to do that. It doesn't always have to be that detailed and complicated to get the basic idea for yourself. There we have it. There's my tree. It's safe for me to grow. And then you can just stick it into your book, and with either a different color paper, like I added just a yellow paper, or you could even just write it into your book on that first blank page. Just write the words. You could even write it over the tree if you wanted to. It is safe for me to grow. You could paint it in. You can draw with oil pastels or something over the painted part.